James Prince stands on a boat off the coast of Belize, jet ski cutting through turquoise water behind him. He's narrating his own video, and what he's about to reveal has nothing to do with rap lyrics or record deals. It's land, his land, an island with his name on it. Here's what's real. The man they call J. Prince built a business empire out of a record label most people wrote off decades ago, and that empire now stretches into boxing rings, cattle ranches, wine bottles, and a private island in Central America. J. Prince owns a slice of Belize that nobody outside his circle knew about until he showed it to the world himself. So let's start where he started it, with the island. The video is short, a few seconds of jet ski spray, his voice carrying over the engine, then land coming into view in the distance. He never says exactly where it is. He never says what he paid, but the message is unmistakable. They said it couldn't be done. He can be overheard saying as he seems to be riding a jet ski, adding that he was told he was dreaming too big, told he was crazy, told it was impossible, and that he'd made the impossible possible, naming it Prince Island #1. He closes with the phrase that's basically become his brand slogan, loyalty for life. He didn't give reporters a tour. He didn't release a press kit. Prince doesn't give away much about the island regarding the location, how much it cost, or even how it looks up close. But the name itself suggests he's got his sights set on getting more private islands down the line. That's it. That's the reveal. A rap executive from Houston's 5th Ward just told the internet he owns his own patch of Caribbean paradise, and he did it while gliding past it on a jet ski like it was nothing. Outlets scrambled to figure out where Prince Island #1 actually was. The best guess pointed to something Prince had been building quietly for years. It's most likely his completed Belizean development, Prince K, pronounced Keys like the Florida Keys, which the Houston hip-hop mogul reportedly bought 7 years earlier. 7 years of construction, 7 years of nobody outside his family circle knowing about it, and then one Instagram clip and the whole thing is public. It turns out his son had already teased it years before the world caught on. Back in 2017, his son Joss posted his own video caption, "Welcome to Prince Island," and geotagged the clip to San Pedro, a small town in Ambergris Cay, one of the priciest spots in Central America. So this wasn't some sudden splurge. This was a project the Prince family had been sitting on, letting it develop in the background while J. Prince kept running his label and his boxing operation like nothing was different. And the island isn't just a beach with a flag stuck in the sand. It's been built out into an actual retreat, tucked away in the waters of San Pedro, Belize. It's designed for one group at a time, offering ocean views, barefoot luxury room for up to 20 guests across 4 one-bedroom villas, 2 two-bedroom villas, and rooms in the main house. 10 en-suite bedrooms total, with air conditioning, Wi-Fi, and cable TV. This isn't a rock with palm trees, it's infrastructure. Concierge service, water sports, a dive team on standby. Guests get catamaran sailing, parasailing, jet ski rentals, diving, fishing charters, and mainland excursions like cave tubing and Mayan ruin tours arranged for them, with transfers coordinated from Belize's international airport through a short domestic flight into San Pedro. So when Prince stood on that jet ski and said the impossible was possible, he wasn't exaggerating for the camera. He'd quietly turned 2 acres of waterlogged land into a functioning luxury property, complete with staff, without anyone outside his orbit knowing it existed. This 2-acre stretch isn't just another celebrity purchase, it's part of a larger development project that Prince reportedly began 7 years earlier with a name that evokes his brand and personal ethos, loyalty for life. Now, owning an island puts you in a specific club. It's not a club just anybody gets into. Money alone doesn't buy you in, because plenty of private islands aren't even for sale. You need connections, patience, and in Prince's case, 7 years of quiet development most of the public had no clue was happening. The Rap-A-Lot Records founder joined a handful of celebrities who have reportedly bought an island, following people like Jay-Z, who spent close to $4 million in 2016 on land in the Bahamas. Other names in that same category: Eddie Murphy, Julia Roberts, Leonardo DiCaprio, Steven Spielberg. The rich and famous often like to show off luxury cars and jewelry, but not everyone has the right number of zeros in their bank account to buy an actual private island, and Prince added his name to that list. What's wild is how understated the whole thing was. No press conference, no sit-down interview explaining the purchase price or the acreage, just a grainy jet ski video and 4 words that told you everything. Prince Island #1. The #1 part matters too. It wasn't framed as a one-off purchase. It was framed as the start of something, a first flag planted, with room to plant more. And that's really the entry point into understanding how big this man's operation actually is. Because the island isn't the empire. It's the trophy sitting on top of the empire. To understand how a record executive from one of Houston's toughest neighborhoods ends up narrating vacation footage from his own patch of the Caribbean, you have to go back to where all of this started, long before islands, long before boxing contracts, long before wine labels. You have to go back to the Fifth Ward. Before there was an island, before there was a record label, there was a teenager in one of Houston's poorest neighborhoods trying to figure out how to survive. Born James L. Smith on October 31, 1965, Jay Prince faced early challenges in the Coke apartments of the Fifth Ward in Houston. That neighborhood wasn't a footnote in his story. It was the entire foundation. James L. Smith, professionally known as Jay Prince, was born and raised in Houston's Fifth Ward, a neighborhood known for poverty and crime that deeply shaped his outlook. With his early hustle beginning in automotive sales, using those earnings to fund his first ventures. There was tragedy woven into that upbringing too. Despite the adversities, he pursued football at Kashmir High School while juggling odd jobs like lawn mowing and welding. And tragedy struck when his older sister Xenia was killed by a train, leaving a mark on him that never fully went away. That's the backdrop most articles skip past quickly to get to the music. But it's the reason everything that came after carries the weight it does. This wasn't a hobby project or a rich kid's vanity label. It was a way out. The car business gave him his first real income and, according to Prince himself, gave him the name that would follow him for the rest of his career. James Prince, born James A. Smith, is the founder of Rap-A-Lot Records and claims the label is named after his rapper brother, Sir Rap-A-Lot, who named himself that because his brother ran a used car lot, with Prince using his street connections to import cars for profit before eventually making his way into music. There's an origin story that gets repeated often about what actually flipped the switch for him. In 1987, Jay Prince took a trip to Def Jam, and when they showed him LL Cool J's checks, that was what inspired him to get into the music business. Seeing the numbers on paper did what no pitch meeting could have. It made the opportunity concrete. So he built his own label from the ground up, and he built it literally above his own business. Jay Prince founded the Houston hip-hop record label Rap-A-Lot in 1986, starting it partly to give his brother a productive activity and keep him away from street trouble. The company initially operated on the second floor of his auto shop before he relocated operations to New York City 2 years later. A record label born out of concern for a sibling, run out of an auto shop, is about as unglamorous an origin story as you'll find for something that would go on to shape an entire regional sound. That regional sound became the whole point. Houston didn't have a seat at hip-hop's table in the mid-80s. New York, and soon after, the West Coast dominated the conversation. Prince's label existed to change that. Prince is best known for founding Rap-A-Lot Records in 1987, and he's also helped launch the careers of Zero, Devin the Dude, Do or Die, Ghetto Boys, and several others. He founded the Houston-based Southern hip-hop record label Rap-A-Lot Records in 1986, which discovered or signed artists including Ghetto Boys, Do or Die, UGK, and the solo careers of Scarface, Bun B, and Pimp C, along with rappers Devin the Dude, Zero, and Trey the Truth. That's not a small catalog. That's a family tree of Southern rap that runs through nearly every major Houston name that followed. And Prince wasn't a hands-off financier either. He was in the booth, on the intro tracks, setting the tone for the label's whole identity. For many, Prince is the man whose voice drags across the intro tracks of Rap-A-Lot albums, the same voice heard dragging former associates on Scarface's Emeritus album, the voice that led Bun B's Trill album, and the one that celebrated the Ghetto Boys' return with the foundation. People who worked around him describe someone who let the work speak instead of chasing cameras. Judging by those who worked with him or know him personally, Prince is a man of very little words. Outside talking on Ghetto Boys intros, you don't see him in videos or doing interviews often, but when he decides to speak, he has the power to move situations that usually won't move, a knack for hustling he caught early. Starting out as a used car salesman, which helped him develop the glibness that opened doors in the record business. That quiet, deliberate style is exactly what carried Rap-A-Lot through its toughest stretch. Because building a Southern rap dynasty out of the Fifth Ward didn't happen without resistance. Federal attention followed the label almost from the jump, largely because of the subject matter the Ghetto Boys were putting on wax. Songs describing violence against police, released at a moment when the entire country was on edge over policing and race, made Rap-A-Lot a target for scrutiny that had nothing to do with sales figures. And that scrutiny is where the next chapter of Prince's story picks up, because surviving it is arguably what proved just how serious an operator he really was. Before we get there, it's worth sitting with how quickly this label scaled given where it started. A used car lot's second floor to a national conversation about censorship and Southern rap identity. That's not a slow climb. That's a rocket, and Prince was the one steering it the entire way. Artist by artist, album by album, refusing to let anyone tell him Houston didn't deserve a place in hip-hop's biggest conversations. Rap-A-Lot's signature act, Ghetto Boys, didn't just make music, they made the label a target. Their lyrics were graphic, political, and unafraid of provoking the exact institutions that would come looking for Prince not long after. The clearest flashpoint came with their 1993 album, Till Death Do Us Part, the fourth studio album by Ghetto Boys, released on March 9, 1993, through Rap-A-Lot and Priority Records. One single off that record became a lightning rod. The 1993 Ghetto Boys' Till Death Do Us Part album's hit video, Crooked Officer, was banned by MTV because it depicted the shooting of a police officer. That ban wasn't a footnote. It put Rap-A-Lot squarely in the national conversation about censorship, right as the country was already at a boiling point over policing. Scarface, originally of Ghetto Boys fame, released a song taunting the DEA around the time of the label's dispute, with lyrics describing shooting local police, while Prince continued to argue the charges amounted to racism and a conspiracy against his label, all against a backdrop where racial tensions had reached a boiling point, culminating in the 1992 Los Angeles riots. That's the environment Prince was operating a record label in, not a boardroom drafting quarterly earnings reports, but a genuine standoff between a Houston label and federal law enforcement, playing out while the entire country was watching cities burn over exactly the issues the Ghetto Boys were rapping about. There's a broader thread here too, one that other reporting on Prince's career keeps circling back to. The label faced scrutiny from the federal government in 1989, but no illegal activities were found, leading to a dropped case. No conviction, no shutdown. The label kept operating, kept releasing music, kept building artists up. Prince came out the other side of federal scrutiny with his company intact, which says something about how he ran things even when the pressure was at its highest. And it wasn't just police brutality anthems that put Prince in rooms most executives never find themselves in. His name comes up in conversations about hip-hop's most dangerous era for a different reason entirely, as someone who tried to prevent violence rather than provoke it. Back in a separate interview, Prince revealed he warned Diddy and Notorious B.I.G. There was a revenge hit on the rapper's head shortly before Biggie was killed in 1997, saying he didn't know exactly who was plotting it but had heard enough on the streets to feel compelled to warn them, visiting the set of Biggie's Hypnotized video in Los Angeles to raise his concerns. 2 weeks before Biggie was killed, that single anecdote tells you what kind of currency Prince carries in the industry. He wasn't just a label boss chasing hits. He had ears on the streets serious enough to catch wind of a plot against one of the genre's biggest stars, and he had enough standing to walk onto a video set and deliver that warning directly. That's not something money buys. That's decades of built trust on both sides of a very dangerous fence. His reputation as a peacemaker shows up again and again through his career, well past the Ghetto Boys era, when one of the messiest rap beefs of the 2010s threatened to escalate. It was Prince who stepped in to shut it down. Fans hoping for a response to a diss track aimed at Drake had reason to hold their breath because the rapper's beef was laid to rest after Prince told Drake not to respond, saying in a radio interview that he made what he called an OG call to Drake, telling him he didn't want him to respond, calling it a pigpen mentality because pigs turn into hogs and hogs get slaughtered. That's Prince's whole operating philosophy in one phrase: protect the asset, protect the person. Don't let ego turn into casualties, whether that's a label's federal case, a rapper's public feud, or, as we'll see, a boxer's entire career trajectory. Because outside of music, Prince built an entirely separate empire around exactly that same instinct, identifying talent, protecting it fiercely, and turning it into long-term value. That empire runs through the boxing ring. While Rap-A-Lot was navigating federal scrutiny and industry beefs, Prince was quietly building a second empire in a completely different arena. Literally, boxing. It started with a gym. He opened a boxing gym in Houston's Fifth Ward, around 1999 and established Prince Boxing Enterprises. Same neighborhood that raised him, same instinct to build something local into something national. And the first fighter to walk through that operation and become a global name is one of the biggest boxers of the last 30 years. He managed Floyd Mayweather Jr. from the start of his professional career until 2003, later managed Andre Ward, following Ward's gold medal at the 2004 Summer Olympics, and currently manages fighters including Shakur Stevenson, Jared Anderson, Duke Ragan, and Ife Ajagba. The Andre Ward story in particular shows exactly how Prince operates when he takes someone under his wing. Ward wasn't in a good place when Prince found him. Ward was 18 and had just lost his father to a sudden heart attack in 2002 when he received a cold call from Prince. Ward had surprisingly missed a national boxing tournament, and his love for the sport was fading without his father's guidance. But Prince had heard about his potential and tracked him down. Ward wasn't shy about where his head was at during that call. Ward, open and honest with Prince on the call, told him he didn't know if he wanted to pursue boxing anymore. He just wanted to figure his life out. Prince's response to that is worth hearing in full, because it's basically his entire management philosophy compressed into 2 sentences. He told Ward his gift was to be in that ring, that he'd love to see him back in it, and that even though he didn't know him personally, from what he was hearing, there was nothing they couldn't overcome together. Ward went on to become one of the most dominant fighters of his generation. That's not luck. That's a stranger picking up a phone at exactly the right moment and refusing to let a kid's talent go to waste. Shakur Stevenson's story shows the other side of that same coin, not rescuing someone from a low point, but reining someone in at a high one. Right after Stevenson claimed a world title and had a career-best payday coming, he had one thing on his mind: emotionally high off a huge payday. Stevenson had just claimed the WBO interim junior lightweight title after cruising past Jeremiah Nakathila. And with his 24th birthday coming up, he decided to spoil himself with a diamond-encrusted chain bearing his initials. He wanted to splurge. Prince had a different idea. His co-manager wanted to put things in perspective, and Stevenson later said that although he'd wanted to go buy another chain, he didn't have a house yet. So Prince sat him down and pointed him in the direction of getting a house instead. A chain depreciates the moment you buy it. A house builds equity. That's the exact same instinct Prince applied to the record label decades earlier. Protect the long game. Don't let a quick win turn into a long-term loss. Their relationship wasn't built on pressure either. It grew organically, the way most of Prince's most loyal relationships seem to. They grew closer as Stevenson went through the 2016 Olympic experience of winning a silver medal. Stevenson says Prince never chased him strongly to become his manager, but a bond was instead formed through conversations about boxing history, with talks about personal business plans emerging gradually until Prince's personable nature made Stevenson want to sign with him. And once that bond was formed, it extended past the ring entirely. Prince often meshes his hip-hop roots with boxing, like when he brings Stevenson and Scarface together for card games at his home, with Scarface laughing that Stevenson's a star who just can't play spades. A Helluva fighter, one of the best, but at the spades table, he's second best. That's the kind of detail that tells you this isn't a transactional business relationship. Prince runs his boxing stable the way he ran his label, like family, with card games and inside jokes mixed in with contracts and purses. The scale of that stable has only grown. His current stable at J Prince Boxing includes more than 15 fighters, with Stevenson and rising heavyweight Jared Big Baby Anderson the biggest names. This isn't a side hustle anymore. It's a full operation running parallel to the record label, with its own roster, its own championships, its own headlines completely separate from anything happening in music. So by the time you get to Prince's 40s and 50s, you've got a man simultaneously running one of the most storied independent rap labels in the country, and one of the most respected boxing management operations in the sport. 2 industries, 2 completely different sets of risks, both being steered by the same guiding hand. And that's before you even get to the cattle, the wine, and the family business that connects all of it back to the biggest rapper in the world today. Boxing and music turned out to be just 2 pillars. Prince kept adding to the foundation, and some of the additions are stranger than you'd expect from a hip-hop mogul. Take the ranch, out past the edges of Houston. Prince owns hundreds of acres dedicated to raising cattle, and it's not a vanity project sitting idle. It actually turns a profit. Prince owns a 1,200-acre cattle ranch that brings in an estimated $200,000 annually from the Black Angus cattle he raises. That's real agricultural income generated year after year, sitting quietly alongside record royalties and boxing purses. It's the kind of diversification you'd expect from a private equity firm, not a rap label founder. Except here, it's one guy's personal property doing exactly what it's supposed to do without any fanfare. That ranch isn't just a business asset either. It's part of the family's actual life. When Josh Prince, Jay Prince's son, wanted to explain why he felt owed money from Cash Money Records over Drake's career, he wasn't doing it from an office. "I'm owed something," Jazz told a reporter, speaking on the phone while mounted atop a horse on his family's ranch in Houston, adding, "I deserve it." The ranch shows up in the family's day-to-day life the same way the island does, not as a trophy kept behind glass, but as a place they actually use. And Josh Prince's role in the empire deserves its own spotlight, because without him, one of the most valuable relationships in modern hip-hop wouldn't exist. In 2006, Prince's son, Jas Prince, brought Drake to his father's attention after discovering the then Degrassi actor and budding rapper on MySpace. That discovery didn't stay a family curiosity, it turned into an actual deal. The following year, Prince signed Drake to Aspire Music Group, which was partly owned by Jas, as well as Lil Wayne's manager, Cortez Bryant. And because of this, Prince is often associated with helping Drake get signed to Young Money. That connection paid off in ways that show up on Prince's own walls. They made the phone call to Lil Wayne to have him sign with Young Money, with agreements to have points off his albums. And there are plaques of Drake's albums hanging in one of Prince's houses to this day. Drake's success became, in a very literal sense, part of the Prince family's own trophy case. Proof that spotting talent early and protecting it long-term pays off no matter which industry you're in. The relationship has kept paying dividends in trust too, well past the initial signing. When one of hip-hop's ugliest public feuds threatened to swallow Drake's career whole, Prince's word was enough to shut it down before it went any further. A service he'd already proven he was capable of decades earlier when he intervened for Biggie. That kind of standing doesn't come from a contract. It comes from being the person who found you, protected you, and never asked for the spotlight in return. Then there's the side of Prince that has nothing to do with talent management at all. The side that just wants to build a brand people can hold in their hands. He published his memoir, The Art Science of Respect, a memoir, in 2018, offering insight into his life and career. 2 years after that, he moved into an entirely different product category. In 2020, he ventured into the liquor and wine industry with the launch of Loyalty. Notice the name. Same word that closed out his island announcement. Same word that's followed him since the used car lot days. Loyalty isn't a marketing slogan for Prince. It's the actual through line connecting a memoir, a wine label, a cattle ranch, a boxing stable, a record label, and an island, all under one man's name. So when you step back and look at the entire structure, the label that survived federal scrutiny and helped define an entire regional sound, the boxing operation that's produced world champions, the ranch quietly generating 6 figures a year, the wine brand, the memoir, the mentorship of one of the biggest artists on the planet, and finally the island sitting on top of all of it like a flag planted at the summit. You start to understand why that jet ski video hit as hard as it did. It wasn't really about the island. Not entirely. It was confirmation of everything that had been built underneath it for close to 40 years, all coming from a kid out of the 5th Ward who once ran his first business out of the 2nd floor of an auto shop. The island was just the moment the world got to see the view from the top. The payoff for decades most people never got to watch happen in real time. Spread across record contracts, boxing gyms, cattle pastures, and finally, quietly 2 acres of